Hey, welcome to Liquid Lunch. It's me, Hugh, and Daryl's my co-host today,
Hello.
and we're going to just dive right into this because we are privileged to have Anya Petrovic here, she travels the world. She's based in Sydney, Australia, and you're bringing Tesla Metamorphosis to Toronto.
Yes, that's right.
So, and I mentioned to you, we have a Tesla motor in our elevator here, right?
Great. Yeah, that is why I used the elevator.
Ah,
And I have a
Uh,
friend whose name is Tesla.
wow.
That's her first name. She might even show up, so you might even meet her today. But
That
so,
would be
well,
nice.
probably first thing, because a lot of people don't know who is Nicholas Tesla. Maybe let's start from scratch.
that's a great point,
Thank you.
Daryl.
So
Yeah.
let's hear that first.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising. I had the chance to talk at University of British Columbia, and students were not really familiar. First time when I went, when I asked who knew who Nikola Tesla was, only one person lifted her hand, and then the next time I was there, half of them knew.
Ah,
Well, and I always like to talk about Tesla because, uh, surprising or not, but this is the man who invented everything modern technology is based on, from alternate current, remote control, wireless, robotica, radio. It wasn't Marconi as it is written in your books, because Marconi lost in court in New York. He couldn't patent it because Tesla had patented it much earlier. But the reason why we don't know about him is because they wanted to erase him from history.
I know.
And it is because he had found out how we could use free energy, and that would take all power from their hands. So his laboratory was burned to the ground, and all his inventions were put under some different names. But now we have more and more information about Nikola Tesla, and if you go on internet, you can find a lot of information. There is uh, we are witnessing the resurrection of Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, and there's even a statue you mentioned in Niagara Falls
Oh,
because
it was there for a long time, but people still don't know who he was.
and then there was even a rock band named Tesla. So people are
Yeah.
trying to rehabilitate Tesla and his reputation
Yes.
because of his fantastic. And if we could only have free energy, like he had figured out how to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
So so that's the technology side. But what you're doing is not really about, you're really helping people, like Tesla Metamorphosis. Maybe you can describe it because it's really a healing
Yeah, that's a healing
methodology.
modality, and even those who know about Nikola Tesla, they wonder, what on earth a healing modality has to do with Nikola Tesla. But we have privilege to have Tesla's name in the name of modality because we can access Tesla waves. Tesla didn't call them Tesla waves. He wrote about them in his Canadian patents, and he called them non-Hertzian waves, where he explained that those waves are different from Hertzian, not just in frequency, but also in their structure and form, that they are multidimensional, and that they are in a domain of a new physics. And he said that, as paradoxical as it can sound, but they get stronger with the distance.
Are those what they call those scalar?
No, they're
Yeah.
not scalar, because Tesla was aware of scalar waves. Maxwell uh, had scalar waves in his model, but so Tesla would call them scalar waves. He called them non-Hertzian waves.
So these are non-Hertzian waves.
Yes.
but what is a
And-
non-Hertzian wave? What does that
Well,
mean?
I wish I knew.
Oh, okay.
Well, the thing is that one man in Serbia managed to reconstruct Tesla amplifier with extra coil, which radiates those waves. And he said that he was really surprised that Tesla left such a detailed information, what is the how thick the wire should be, how many times to, because usually Tesla was doing everything in his head. He even created machines and tested machines in his head, but in this case, he really left a very detailed information. And what was surprising, when this amplifier was photographed with PIP camera, and after the amplifier would be switched off, this energy field stayed for quite a long time. And with everything that is Hertzian origin, as soon as you switch off the source of energy, there is no energy there. So that is actually showing that, as Tesla said, that this is some new physics that we didn't learn about. And people then ask, well, how can we be sure that we can access those Tesla waves? Because we can't measure them. We measure energy with hertzes. Thanks to PIP camera, invented by Dr. Harry Oldfield from London, now we can see them, because that's a special camera that can make photos of energy field in the real time. And it's more precise than Curian camera, because different frequencies of energy are presented in different colors. So on the photo that we have in studio, you can see the photo of Tesla amplifier with extra coil, and you can also see on the photo of Tesla Metamorphosis session, you have the identical colors as around the amplifier. So let's say we have colorful on white, that we can access those Tesla waves. And that makes Tesla Metamorphosis special. The difference among modalities is not in how we wave our hands or where we place our hands. The difference is in what frequencies of energy we can access. In other ways, actually, what levels of consciousness we can access. Because Tesla was very spiritual. His geniusity was in his spirituality. He was aware that energy is not just a mechanical movement of particles. He was aware that he was interacting with consciousness, this universal consciousness that nowadays they call the field, and Tesla used to call it active ether. So, have you heard about Swami Vivekananda?
Yeah.
All right, so there was a mutual respect between Swami Vivekananda and Tesla, and after visiting Tesla's laboratory, Swami wrote a letter to his colleague in India, where he said in all different colors in Tesla's laboratory he could see Shiva and Vishnu and all their gods. But then he said, he wrote something very interesting, that Tesla talked to his electricity, giving it orders. So it shows that he was aware that he was dealing with consciousness. And that is why the man who invented everything modern technology is based on said, the day science starts examining non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all previous centuries of its existence. So, yes, and that is why we have that privilege to have Tesla's name in the name of Labo.
Now, is this so how did you invent this, or did you, how did you, what's your story of?
Yeah, well, did I invent that? Well, no. When they ask me, how did you find it, I say I didn't find it, it had found me. Mm-hmm. Actually, everything started like in the fairy tale. I was doing Reiki for 11 years. I was doing reconnective healing for 8 years. And that summer day, and it happened to be 10th of July, and I wasn't aware at that time, but it was 10th of July, and that's Tesla's birthday. I came to this space that I rented to work from. I happened to be in Belgrade, which is Serbia, yeah. And this morning, for no reason, I just came earlier, and I was just standing by the window and enjoying the dance of morning sun on the roofs of Belgrade. And then something really extraordinary happened. Two completely white doves came like in a circle from two different sides straight into my window, picked the window with their beaks, moved their wings like two ballerinas following the same choreography, and flew away. And that filled me with some joy. I felt something important happened, but I just didn't know what to connect it with. And then the client came, and I started doing session, believing that that's reconnective healing session. And I heard the voice in my head. I'm a psychologist. These voices we call schizophrenia. I heard the voice, Tesla healing. You need to reconstruct Tesla healing. And my first reaction was, what a nonsense, like Tesla and healing. And who am I to reconstruct something genius Tesla invented? So, it didn't make any sense to me. And I continued the session. Again, the voice, Tesla healing. You need to reconstruct Tesla healing. I couldn't make any sense in it. That day, I had 9 coincidences under commas telling me that I needed to do something connected to Nikola Tesla. And altogether, it took me 9 months until all the puzzles came into place. But later on, I remembered, do you know the story Tesla wrote about a dove, a dying dove? He wrote about this dove. He loved doves, and his room was, the windows were always opened in New York, a hotel where he lived, so that pigeons and doves can come in.
I just got up just a sec. A minute ago, I got up to go over there and open a window.
Okay.
And there was a pigeon right on the, and I didn't open that window. I opened another window. I didn't want to bother the pigeon.
All right.
Just
Yeah. Well,
finding
they
the
just come
synchronicity.
to let us know.
Yeah.
All right. So he wrote about this dove, and he said, I loved that dove as a man loves a woman. And he said that he knew that the dove came to tell him she was dying. And he wrote, when this dove died, a part of me died too. So I just came to a childish idea, maybe those two doves on my window, maybe that was Tesla and his loving dove.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, so you put the pieces together, but then how did Tesla Metamorphosis arise?
Well, I just knew I have to go and teach it. And to be honest, when I first decided to go to Europe and start teaching Tesla Metamorphosis, my husband said, "You're crazy." And I said, "I know. Tell me something new." And he said, "Well, nobody knows about Nikola Tesla, and nobody have ever heard about Tesla Metamorphosis, so how do you imagine it could work?" And I said, "I don't know, but I know it's going to work. And I'm sure if we have clear and good intention, and if we are on the right path, then everything comes into place." And yes, now my life had changed completely. I make 2 circles around the world a year and teach Tesla Metamorphosis. And I really have wished to make it available to as many people as possible.
Okay, so what is Tesla Metamorphosis?
Well, Tesla Metamorphosis, they would tell, is a healing modality, but it is actually more than a healing modality, and I'll try to explain why. majority of people are attracted to Tesla Metamorphosis because of amazing healing results our clients report. Actually, there are three ways how we use this bandwidth of frequencies, including Tesla waves, and those are Tesla healing metamorphosis, Tesla soul communication, and Tesla light body metamorphosis.
Light body.
Metamorphosis.
Okay.
Metamorphosis is because this work is really transformational, and you will find out when I explain all the details. Right, so first we can talk about Tesla healing metamorphosis, and as I said, our clients report healings from many illnesses that are labeled incurable.
So even things like later stage cancer.
Yes, cancer, AIDS, chronic fatigue syndrome, lupus, even from birth deformities.
Okay.
If you go on the website teslametamorphosis.com, you can hear a mother of 21-year-old girl saying that her doctor was amazed how only in 2 months, since he saw her previously, one side of her rib cage, which was much smaller and indent, developed to be equal to the other side, and her spine was almost completely straight. And also, what is good about Tesla Metamorphosis, there is no need to drug people for 10, 20 sessions. We always suggest 3 sessions, because after third session, it is usually obvious whether there are significant changes or not. And most of the time, 3 sessions are enough. And I know when I talk about that, some people can't really believe it. So in my book, Tesla Metamorphosis, Heal and Evolve, I tried to find explanations for those things that people tend to call miracles. So when we are talking, for example, about a birth deformity that was reconstructed, and that's not the only case. I don't know whether you heard about Dr. Pyotr Garyaev.
No.
All right, Dr. Pyotr Garyaev is a member of Russian Academy of Science and New York Academy of Science, and he did research on DNA. And he had found out that the DNA has some rules similar to the rules of human language, some, as he says, biological grammar and syntax. And in their experiments, in experiments he made with his team, they managed to get a salamander lizard from an embryo frog without cutting out or replacing a single gene, just by changing information. So he claims that there is new way of healing because our DNA can be reprogrammed by frequencies of energy. So that is what happened with the girl who had a birth deformity with her rib cage. Actually, her DNA received the information how a healthy rib cage should be and lungs, and they developed. And there were other cases like where physically damaged spine was reconstructed, or one practitioner from Germany reported that she was working with a 4-year-old girl who had 4 centimeters shorter leg, and the leg developed. What is interesting, in Tesla's time, there was a scientist, Robert Obecker, and he was working with Tesla coils. You can still find his book on Amazon, The Body Electric, Electromagnetism and the Foundation of Life, where he gives cases from experiments where small animals could regrow their foot or their leg that is cut off or their tails when they were exposed to those frequencies of Tesla waves. Just to clarify, we don't use Tesla coils. We access those Tesla waves directly from active ether. But still, I would mention that in 19th century, Dr. Roberto Becker worked with Tesla coils with those frequencies called, which we now call Tesla waves, and he documented that small animals could regrow their legs or tails.
I actually remember seeing something in the news or in a
Right.
magazine about, I
Yeah.
think it was a salamander or a frog who grew a leg back. Normally would not be able to do that, but with some sort of electrical stimulation. So now you're also training, you're teaching people how to be Tesla.
Yes. Teslians.
How to use Tesla Metamorphosis to help
Yes.
their clients or patients.
Yes.
But you're saying you're not using a device? You're not using Tesla
No,
coils?
we access those Tesla waves directly from, how Tesla would say, active ether. There is, if you go on my website, you can see, or in my book, I think, I'm not sure, you can see a chart made by engineer Boris Petrovic where he actually showed on his chart that Tesla created Tesla coil according to the energy centers in human body. So it seems that Tesla Metamorphosis practitioner actually acts as Tesla coil.
So,
So
how would
we
you,
don't
how would you
need-
do that then in practice?
Oh, just wave our hands. It is so interesting. I don't do any attunements. I don't do any rituals. But yet, when we use PIP camera and the auras of students show that there was significant change in their energy field and in their consciousness level after finishing Tesla Metamorphosis 1 seminar. And that is what I would really love to talk about, because majority of people, they got attracted to Tesla Metamorphosis because of those amazing healings. And sometimes it seems to me as if we got those amazing healings as donkey or carrot to be focused towards something which is even more important, and this is the elevation of human consciousness. And I believe that Tesla waves elevate human consciousness. Why? I already mentioned that we do something that we call Tesla soul communication. I'll first explain what is Tesla soul communication and
Please.
how we do it. You see, I'm a psychologist, and we are aware that all people, we all have some things that we don't want to think about, that we would like to forget. So we pack them nicely, we put the ribbon on, and we push them in our subconscious mind. And then it works from there. It affects our reactions, it affects our health. So in psychology, we use free associations and hypnotherapy to help people to drag this stuff from their subconscious mind to the conscious level, because once it's on the conscious level, then they can deal with it and they can overcome the problem. So this is what we do with Tesla soul communication. Though I think that this soul communication, Tesla soul communication, is even more effective because we can reach to the results much faster. And also in free associations and hypnotherapy, we can reach up to the level of subconscious mind. Here, we could even reach to the level of integrative mind, which means that even healing on karmic level can be reached. So, how it works? I teach this in Tesla Metamorphosis 2 seminar, and one of the exercises is that every student brings a photo of somebody who needs healing, and those photos are mixed, and everybody works with somebody he doesn't know and writes down everything that comes true. And after that, the one who brought the photo gives the feedback. And there is always a lot of excitement and a lot of fun in the class when people realize that there are no doubts that they were communicating with this particular person from the photo, because you can recognize the personality, the belief system, even by words from the person. And I was getting messages, those voices in the head, that I should teach that. And I was arrogantly afraid, okay, I know how to do it, but how could I be sure that other people can do it? So the messages were persistent, and at the end I did the first seminar with 3 people I knew in Sydney, where I live. And something very interesting happened on that second day of the seminar. We were, Maz, one of the students, she was reading this, what she got from the healing, and we all had a little bit teary eyes. There is a lot of emotion stuck in our subconscious mind, so that's why I suggest to ladies to use waterproof mascara for the seminar. So we were all moved emotionally. It was a beautiful day in Sydney, the sky perfectly blue, and all of a sudden the clouds accumulated and it started lightning. And all 4 of us, as if somebody commanded, we turned toward windows and said, "Hi, Tesla," because Tesla's nickname was the master of lightning. And in 5 minutes, the clouds disappeared and no drop of rain. So I took it as an omen. Yes, I should teach that. And I really don't know how many students went through this Tesla Metamorphosis 2 seminar, but it's amazing that each person was capable of creating this communication with other person on the level of conscious, subconscious, and integrative mind, and they were not aware of such their abilities before. So, my logical mind, I was always trying to find the explanations, how it comes, because I don't do anything clever to make them be capable of creating this communication. I don't do any attunements, I don't do any rituals, and yet every person is able to do this communication. So I already mentioned Swami Vivekananda, and because Tesla once said that his teaching is the only theory that could entertain modern science, so I was curious and I attended classes of teaching of Swami Vivekananda in Sydney, and there I learned that yogis have a special meditation which has the purpose of elevating consciousness. This meditation starts from basic chakra, which is red, up to the 7 main chakras, and finishes with crown chakra, which is purple in color. And Swami, who was teaching us, he said that not every yogi would manage to reach to the level of crown chakra. And I brought into studio the photos of auras of students after finishing Tesla Metamorphosis 1 seminar, or what is a phenomenon. Professor Isovsky likes to call it phenomenon when he can't explain scientifically. All students had purple colors in their auras. So it seems that those Tesla waves simultaneously bring us to the consciousness level on the frequency of crown chakra. And that is the only explanation I could find. How could like all people be able to create this communication with their clients on the level of conscious, subconscious, and integrative mind, and they were not clairvoyant. Like I was in Ljubljana in Slovenia, and there were more than 60 people in this class, and there were all different backgrounds. Like there were 2 doctors of science, there were some medical doctors, some plumbers, some bakers, some massage therapists, all different ages, and all of them were able to create this communication.
Can we do some right now?
Yeah, like how what does it look like? What does
I want to
like?
feel it. Can I feel it?
Is there any way to make this?
Well, that we can't do on TV because it would be a little bit boring. I would be sitting and just writing, and you would be sitting and watching. And that is why I never do that when I'm on the road, because you never know whether it's gonna last 15 minutes or it could last for 4 hours.
Oh, you mean the session or?
This communication, it depends on the other person. But
Right.
I had some very special experiences. One of the, I think, experience where I learned a lot was when I was doing Tesla soul communication with a mother of a friend of mine who was in coma. And it was interesting. I started, "Hi, Madame Yvonne, how are you?" And she answered, "Dobro," which means good in Serbian, and she doesn't speak Serbian. And she said, "Oh, isn't it interesting? I can speak any language now." So you see, this communication is beyond communication with words. It's communication with meanings, pictures, and emotions. So language is not a barrier. So you can do communication with somebody who speaks Lebanese, Chinese, though you don't speak those languages. And she was so joyful, and she said, "Oh, it's good that you came to make me company. Those doctors are so boring. They are just running around and putting some chemicals into my body." And then she said, "And you can help me live." And I said, "Well, my friend Graham will not be very happy if I help you live, but I'm here to do that what you need." And I said, "Well, but everybody loves you here." She said, No, it's not that everybody loves me, and who is going to go back in that wreck of the body? When I go back, everything hurts." And she was so humorous, and she was so joyful, and for me it was confusing, because we always connect the process of dying, with something very sad, and it's sad because we separate. But from her perspective, it wasn't like this. And I said, "Oh, you're very funny and happy." And she said, "Yes, finally I can be that what I really am. I always had to play some serious role in my life." So, and what was interesting, she went out of coma. I mean, this healing lasted more than 4 hours, so I can't tell you the whole story, but it was interesting. She went out from coma, and her son and her granddaughters could not recognize her because she was so humorous all of a sudden.
You mean when she came back? She did come back in her body.
Yeah, she did at the end.
And she was in a different kind of mood than she
Yeah.
normally
So they were even recording what she was saying, and she told some things, exactly the same things that she told me, like her trip through um, Scotland with her husband and something what she was showing me. And what was also interesting, the following day, Graham went to uh, see her at hospital after she went out of coma. Uh, Actually, when I rang him, he's in Melbourne and I'm in Sydney. So when I rang him, he was in the bathroom and he didn't dare to call me to see what I got. He rushed to hospital and he holded his mom for her feet, and he felt how one foot started moving and she went out of coma. And then the other day he was visiting her and he went in with a nurse, and there are no needles, no infusions, nothing connected to his mom. And he said, "Oh, wow, what a progress." And the nurse said, "No, that's not a progress. She's pulling out everything." You remember how she said those doctors are just running around and putting some chemicals into my body.
So okay, so you're now who should come to the events, at least the free one,
Yes.
on Friday? Like, can it be people who want to be practitioners? Can
Well,
it be patients or people who have problems?
Yeah, or simply people who are curious, because I'm really happy to explain everybody what is all that about. It had changed my life, so it might change their life too.
Okay, it sounds really interesting, but there's no actual device. There's
No
nothing producing
device.
Tesla, but you're able to access the Tesla non-Hertzian waves through intention, or how does that work?
Well, that's a good word, intention, because you see, we don't need to know what is the health problem of the client, because if we would focus, for example, somebody has problems with his kidneys, and then we focus and wave our hands around kidneys, we would actually limit the healing, because this, what we call the illness, is just a symptom. It's like when you have a headache, you take an aspirin and the headache is gone. But the cause of this headache could be high blood pressure or problem with sinuses or stress or whatever, is still there. So if we would focus on the symptom, that what we call illness is just a symptom, then we would limit the healing. So we are just working with our heart consciousness. We don't focus to direct energy in a particular place. We leave this with this universal consciousness that Tesla used to call active ether, and the consciousness of the bodies of the person on the table. Because our body is not just biochemical bunch of reactions. Our body is consciousness. Our glands know how, when, and what hormones or secrets to secrete, and our kidneys know how to filtrate, and so on. So what we do, we adjust with what is important to have clear and good intention to be the part of the process of the healing of the person on the table.
Okay.
So it's not about knowledge, it's about intention. So you have chosen a very appropriate word.
Okay. Now, and can anybody do this?
Yes,
Or
just anybody can do it. You can do it, you can do it, everybody can do it equally as I can do it.
But it almost sounds like there's nothing to know. It's because
Well, you're right. There is nothing to know.
So how do you do it?
Yeah. I mean, that is what, one friend of mine, she was at my seminar and then she got annoyed. She said, "Look, we are not diagnosing, we are not directing energy in a certain point. So, what are we doing? We are a part of the equation. We are needed to be a part of the process. I said, I don't know whether we have time for that, but I had a very interesting experience when I was in Florida. I was the host of the seminar. She said she was doing regressions or returning to past life or parallel way, plan of existence, whatever. But I must say I wasn't very sure in this process, because whenever I spoke to somebody, he was either a prince or a princess or some important figure in Egypt. So as if there were no thieves, there were no blacksmiths, there were no soldiers.
It's always glamorous.
So everybody was something important. But then it was last day of my stay in Florida, and my suitcases were packed, and she mentioned, "Oh, we didn't do the regression." And I said, "Okay," and I laid on a couch, and but then I had a really I don't know what words to use for the experience I had. She said that she asked me to imagine a lift, and then what level I want to go to, and I said the 9th level. And when the lift opened, I found myself in some fluorescent green space with different densities, which I felt as a landscape. And there were some very tall and very thin light beings, and some emotion overwhelmed me. I don't know what name to give to this emotion. Bliss, love, I don't know, something beautiful, and tears started running through, from my eyes and down my cheeks, and then I tried to speak. I was very much aware that I was laying on that couch, and I was also on this 9th level. But when I tried to speak, I just didn't have a very direct communication with my mouth. So it sounded like, is this a future or a past life? Because it looked so futuristic, and I was wondering, why on earth I came on earth to wash myself, to wash my clothes, if that's my past life. And I got the information. You don't have to ask there anything. I was told that light beings cannot do some things without help of light beings in tissue garment. I would never use this construction, tissue garment. And that is actually what we are doing. We are light beings in tissue garment.
All of us? All humans?
All of us,
okay.
Yeah.
So we can all do this?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Anya, we're pretty much out of time here right now, but...
Well, we're gonna look at some slides too?
We did look at the slides.
Okay. Oh, it was in the background. I couldn't see that.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we didn't talk about Tesla light body metamorphosis, but I mean, if we don't have time,
Are
then
you going to come back to Toronto sometime?
maybe next year.
Well, would you come by again, and we could talk about the light body and maybe the DNA, all the other stuff?
All right. Okay.
But this sounds great.
Well, I really enjoyed here because you let me talk and talk and talk.
Yeah, see, we're like that. I told you it would be pretty relaxed, but anyway, really great to meet you. And if I can make it, I'm really looking. I would love to come out Friday night and just to find out more because it sounds fascinating.
Yeah, please go on teslametamorphosis.com, and
If people buy the book, can they figure out how to do this on their own?
well, no, I thought, I had the problem with this as well. I thought if I do healing on somebody, then this person is infected, under commas, infected with Tesla waves. So off he goes and does the healing, but it doesn't work that way. So we came again to the intention. So you have an intention, you spend your time, you like it's a beautiful weather outside, you're on the weekend and you are in the class and doing it. So, and you know, spend your time, your money, or whatever.
Okay.
And you get it because I don't do attunement. That's really a bit weird. But for example, one of my relatives, she said, "Oh, can you attune me? Can you teach me?" I don't do it. I don't know. When I was doing Reiki, I knew how to do it. Chakra, yeah. No, somebody else is doing the attunement. This universal consciousness, this active ether, the same one who is doing the healing. We just wave our hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Friday night we can all learn more, and people go to the website TeslaMetamorphosis.com, send that email, get a discount, and meet Anya in person. So thank you, Anya.
Yeah, and also one person can get a free copy of book,
Just one?
just one,
Okay.
because I don't have many here.
All right.
That's all right.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Anya.
Okay.
And please come
Thank
back
you.
next time you're in town.
I promise. I like it here.
All right. So that's it for this this part. We got lots more coming up with Daryl and
Various
a
guests.
bunch of people. So stay tuned here at thatchannel.com.
We still